So we all love the idea of a soft life, slow mornings, matcha, Pilates, never having to worry about money or work ever again. That's the dream. But here's the catch. Living a soft life actually requires hard work first. As someone that's very naturally ambitious, type A, big sister, I know what it's like to feel conflicted between these two worlds of wanting to achieve career dreams or your financial goals, but also balancing a soft life. But I think the way this is presented to us on social media through this almost lifestyle of like an LA influencer is not very attainable for a lot of people. And I don't feel for most women that you should strive to attain this through a man. Now, this video is obviously going to have some controversial elements to it, but I really want you to take what I say with a pinch of salt. You are entitled to have your own opinions. Of course, there may be cultural differences, there may be differences in background, privilege comes into play, so try not to take this video literally. So in this video, we're going to delve into the issue with the soft life, how to balance a soft life with ambition, also the financial habits that are going to get you there independently of a man. So a couple of years ago, I went down into a rabbit hole on the internet of hypergamy content. Now, when I spoke about this on TikTok, I mentioned one creator who I absolutely adore. I think she is so funny, intelligent, and a great businesswoman. You might even think of the person that I'm talking about, but I'm not going to say her name because this video is not about her. What I am trying to say is that I first got into this topic because of creators like that were coming at it from like a mass appeal kind of entertaining angle, and that introduced that kind of political view to me because it is political. There's no argument about that. So if you don't know what hypergamy is, it's when women date for money, lifestyle, or status. Now, none of these things are inherently bad, and we're all striving for those things anyway. But what I want to touch on in this video is financial dependency. See, I was raised in quite a left-wing household, and that always meant that my mum was like, no, you are always having your own money, you have to be an independent woman, because obviously she lived through the 70s and saw all of the different revolutions with the different waves of feminism. Like, it's really important for us to acknowledge. It's really important for us to acknowledge the women that walked so that we could run. Like, even the fact that we have the choice to live a soft life with a man or without, like, that was born from these movements. So when I came across this content, it was always contradictory to what I'd always believed. And obviously I was young and impressionable. So I kind of got into this mindset that if I am going to date, I would have to date someone that's a lot richer than me, so like to find a rich man. It kind of stuck with me, and it did make sense. If men constantly date for looks, then why can't women date for money? The creator that I mentioned always said to have like your own business, to be an entrepreneur, so it felt very progressive and achievable. And you know what? At first, I fell for the dream. Leverage your looks to find a rich man and life will be easy. This is the dream that a lot of these influencers sell to you. As I got into my mid-20s, I feel like my frontal lobe developed a little bit, and I realized that nothing is free. Now, of course, I already had this realization, but I realized it in terms of relationships. That if you rely on someone else for your financial freedom, you are just trading one boss for another. Like, yes, I'd always see these memes being like, oh, you know, you're hating on women for relying on a man to pay your bills, but you are also relying on a man to pay your bills too. If you hate your 9 to 5, you are still dependent on that 9 to 5, and it could be a male boss telling you what to do. So don't get me wrong, like, there's arguments on both sides. I don't know if you've also been on TikTok or short form right now, but I've just seen so many memes of people saying that, you know, the drink matcha and go to Pilates is kind of like a loser mentality. Now, I am not calling people that think that losers. I just think that it's an interesting take. I think that, you know, the phrase loser suggests that someone has no ambition. And I don't think women inherently have to have ambition, but I think that if you don't, it's going to be very hard to achieve the things that you want. Most people do eventually want to own a home. Most people should eventually want to retire. A lot of people want an easier life or a better quality of life, but that comes at a cost. And therefore, ambition is a natural part of that, in my opinion. I'm not sure how to achieve it without that. I personally feel that the soft life is not supposed to be submission disguised as luxury. So the turning point for me when my mindset changed was when obviously I became an adult, I started working. I realized in my graduate fashion job, I was essentially like, you know, working it out after tax and like the amount of hours that I was working. Obviously, I wasn't on an hourly wage, I was on like a full-time wage. Because I wasn't earning, or when I started to work out, I wasn't earning much, it was easier for me to fall victim to this mindset that someone else might do it for me. I'll give you a bit of perspective. I was at my 9 to 5, but I recently left to be a content creator because it's far more lucrative than my full-time job in fashion, of course. As it happened, I was started to make £100 here and there, like nothing to write home about. But eventually, as I reached like a more mature stage in my content creation journey, I started to make multiple 4 figures for brand deals, and then I made my first 5-figure brand deal. And that was a moment where I was like, what am I doing here? So I don't actually regret doing a 9 to 5. It was so invaluable. But the only thing that I'm trying to say here is that I basically jumped to a different like level of financial freedom in such a short window of time, in the space of a year. And that moment of earning my own money changed everything. Now, I'm not saying, because I had a job before, but it wasn't really the same. Just living to pay your bills and buying the occasional nice thing is so much different to having enough money where you feel abundant, where you can invest as much as you want, where you can technically go out and buy anything, even though I still don't buy much. It was no longer about finding someone to fund my lifestyle, because I could fund it myself while doing work which was less strenuous than my job in fashion. Okay, so I'm making it sound like content creation is the way out, and it's not for everyone. Like, I understand that not every single person can be a content creator, but I feel like it's one of those things that has a lower barrier to entry to a lot of other things. If you think about things that you might compare it to, like acting, modeling, or other creative jobs that are in that space, it is actually a lot more accessible. A lot of people have access to a smartphone where they can start posting content. The issue is different backgrounds or different things that might contribute to how you're perceived online. Don't get me wrong, I 100% acknowledge that. But I would say it has democratized the ability to get your voice out there. It wasn't easy. I filmed my content before I went to my 9 to 5, like in the mornings, edit on the train, sometimes post during my lunch break, and then get home and film again. I treated it like a job. Like, I clocked in every single day as I would my 9 to 5. And that discipline allowed me to work for myself within a year. And I'm not saying that that's automatically going to happen to you. Some people work for 5 years on content and they don't make it their full-time thing. There's a lot of different factors that go into it. Truth is, I did the hard work up front. I front-loaded like 2 jobs in order to do one. The truth is, I don't necessarily live a soft life now. Like, I still work extremely hard, but it's on the thing that I love, so it feels like a soft life. Like, I can go now and get a coffee or go to the gym and I don't have to answer to anyone. I don't have to make a long excuse as to why I'm not at my desk. I can just do what I want when I want. So that's what I want to make clear, is I don't think a lot of women would have that default view that a man could do it for them if they could actually do it for themselves. And here's the thing, you can have both. When I made this TikTok, obviously it's like a minute-long video, so people get very annoyed by little things, but I will explain to you right now that you don't have to pick between living a soft life and like achieving your own dreams. Like, you can do both. Not only that, you can also date a rich and successful man, but it also helps if you too are rich and successful. Actually, successful or rich people that I've met in person, they don't want someone that is 10 steps behind them. They want someone who is an equal, or someone slightly on the same page in some kind of way. You can't just go and look pretty and sit at a bar. You will give off the wrong vibe. Your next question might be, okay, so where's the proof? Well, I am with someone that is the same age as me. It would be unrealistic for him to act like a 60-year-old CEO, because he's not. He's the same age. Now, if you date someone older, that is perfectly fine to expect a little bit more because they're in a different stage of life. They have more financial security, hopefully. But that just makes total sense. But I think this kind of rhetoric online of like, if he wanted to, he would, kind of damaging to modern relationships, especially young ones. But we should expect more from men, 100%. I'm not saying that we shouldn't. I just don't think we should expect our boyfriends that are the same age, the same stage in life, to be acting as our sugar daddies. Like, it's just not realistic. So I don't actually think you have to go and find this rich CEO to have good treatment. I think it comes down to the way that you treat yourself, and that reflects in your relationship. So I am not saying don't rely on a man and rely on a job instead. That is not what we're here to do. And if you're familiar with my content, I talk a lot about financial independence, right? Financial independence from one particular source. I don't want a job to feel like they own me either. So there are different ways that you can like diversify your income streams and build independence and power without a man, without a boss. And so let's go into the habits that you can build to build your own soft life. I strongly believe that the creator economy gives you the soft life. Now, I'm not saying just go on TikTok and start making dancing videos. That is not what I'm saying. And you don't necessarily have to show up in video format, although it is the thing that will help you grow the quickest. Creation means so many different things. It could be writing. If you're a maths teacher or a fitness coach, creating like a course or an ebook, like just getting into the world of the creator economy can help people in so many different ways. It's not just for influencers, and I wish more people understood that. If you have solved a problem in your life a transformation, maybe it was weight loss or something, you can make a PDF about that, I am telling you, and then market it. Like, there are so many things that we could be doing in our spare time that give us this extra cash that can eventually maybe lead to a full-time job or freedom. These things are largely dependent on luck, privilege, don't get me wrong, but would you know unless you tried? No, you have to give it a shot. But I would say the easiest one is writing. And so I'd really recommend, if you don't want to put your face out there, you don't want to do too much, maybe starting a Substack or a blog. There is a revival of blogs now, I think, and there's this thing called entrepreneurial journalism. I think more and more brands are waking up to the fact that writing is where it's at. We are so fatigued with short form content that a lot of creators are moving over to these like longer form platforms. There are just so many different options outside of just making video content. So it doesn't matter what it is, start building something that is yours. Spend 1 hour of a day on something for yourself. If you think about it, you spend so long, 8 hours, then commute, all of that time on someone else's dream. Sacrifice 1 hour to build something for you. So here are 10 different ideas to build a soft life without having to rely on a man. The first one is learning about passive income streams. We all know that passive income doesn't truly exist because you're doing upfront work to eventually get that passive income. But some examples include dividends. So when you invest in the stock market, there's particular companies that can pay you a dividend. And dividends aren't free money. They obviously come with the risk of investing in that stock. But if you really are prioritizing cash flow or you like income, then this could be one to look into. A different form of these are REITs, which are real estate investment trusts. And these are stocks that you can invest in, and they actually are obligated to pay 90% of their profits to shareholders. Another example is digital products. This could be in the form of an ebook, a digital download, a course. People always think these are scammy too, but guess what? We have, since the dawn of time, always been paying for information. People didn't stop buying books. Books are invaluable. These are just another medium. Yes, it's scammy if you just write it with ChatGPT, but if you actually have something that truly changed your life, why not share it with people? Another example of passive income is affiliate links. As a content creator, you are obviously going to make much more because you might have a following to drive traffic to it. But personally, I have found this to be the most lucrative. In fact, my rent and bills are covered by my passive income that I make from working with different companies. So if you haven't got started with this one yet, watch my last video because I go a bit more in depth. Number 2 is prioritizing location freedom. You can't all just quit our 9-to-5s and do content creation. So maybe within your 9-to-5, finding a new job that gives you location freedom so you can work remotely. This one is key because you just reclaim back some of your energy. Like, it is a soft life to just wake up in your PJs and just start working. Like, that is such a flex. So trying to find a remote job. I mean, I was trying to think of some examples when making this. I've never had like a fully remote job apart from a merchandising job. This could also include freelancing or consulting. Like, if you're already doing a skill in your 9-to-5 and you've built up a client base and you feel confident enough that you can get work outside of it, then you could eventually take the leap to be freelance instead. And that gives you location freedom. Number 3 is automating your finances. Setting up direct debits to your savings and investment accounts. This just screams soft life to me because you're not having to do these manual tasks. Like, it takes up mental energy to transfer your savings to your savings account. Like, just let these things be automatic. Know how much you can set aside each month. And I have a budgeting tracker that I've actually just updated, which is really helpful for knowing how much you can set aside. It literally tells you how much you've got left over. Or is invest in self-care that has strategy, not just for luxury's sake. So when I say this, I mean like massages, things that are truly relaxing, as opposed to just getting your nails done. Actually, in a few videos ago in Frugal Chic, we spoke about not getting your nails done actually being extremely chic and a sign of being high fashion. So instead of spending that money on your nails, actually doing something that's restorative. So like yoga, Pilates, these things all require movement, which is really good for you and in turn will like reflect on your work. I would venture to say that it's worth splurging on a luxury gym. If you think you're gonna be there every day, that is 100% worth it. Number 5 is work within your natural rhythm. I get that this is harder to do around a 9-to-5, which by the way was built around a man's cycle instead of a woman's, but there's this thing called cycle syncing, and it's where you sync your workload and your different tasks that you do in a month around your monthly womanly schedule. And by doing this, you just are so much more in touch with like what you actually crave and need, as opposed to just letting other people dictate it for you. So definitely cycle syncing and incorporating this somehow into your routine, whether it's doing like more low impact exercise during your period, or deciding not to work during your period if you're freelance or self-employed. Number 6 is building intellectual property. You may be thinking, what has this got to do with anything? Well, basically what I've learned in my first year of content creation is it's all very well showing up to make videos and just talk about a niche and try to add value. These are all things that are the basics, but one step further than that 1% of creators do is like building an intellectual property base. Basically, when you build intellectual property or you own something, that is building like digital equity. Like then you get obviously dividends or royalties from that thing. Doing this with Frugal Chic, I can't say many details, but it's opened me up to opportunities I did not know existed. So 100% building your ideas off of existing ideas, but giving it your own twist. And you don't have to be a content creator. You could do this on LinkedIn, for example. Number 7 is learning a high income skill. This could be like coding or sales, but I personally use content creation as an example because you're using so many different skills all at once. Someone commented on my video recently that they thought it was funny that I said TikTok was a skill, but there's a reason why not many people are able to make a living from it. Like, it does require skill because it requires copywriting. I have to constantly filter what I say to be engaging and to be persuasive. That is a skill. Making an ad not seem salesy is a skill in itself. Number 8 is blending lifestyle with work. Again, I'm going to talk about content creation for this because it is the most accessible to a lot of people. Like, I used to think that a side hustle meant, starting drop shipping or something like that. You don't need a physical product. First, launch with your ideas and how you can help others. And that is the basis of content creation. Thinking about what you actually want to do, what the activities that you enjoy, and blending it. So if you love yoga, maybe training as a yoga teacher and doing this as a side hustle alongside a 9-to-5, like blending the lifestyle that you want with work until it becomes your job is actually such an underrated hack. Number 9 is create lazy girl assets. It's a little bit like the intellectual property one, but building things that have like longevity. So whether that's a YouTube channel, a blog, or even monetizing on Pinterest, there's so many different ways that you can monetize online and build these digital assets. Again, you do not have to show your face. The amount of times I go on Instagram and go on the explore page and I see these crazy, like aesthetically pleasing carousels that they don't contain someone's face, right? They're giving someone advice maybe about like money or lifestyle, and they're just so well done because that person can edit well. That is a skill. So building these lucrative digital assets is super important. Number 10 is setting ambitious goals, but soft practices. It's fine to have like a super ambitious goal, but you know that you're going to get there in your own time, in your own rhythm. A bit like the cycle syncing idea. You do things when you want to, not in a lazy procrastinating way, but you just know that doing less and being in touch with your natural rhythm is what will get you there. A lot of the things in life are mostly distractions, and I feel like there's a quote by Marcus Aurelius, and it's something like, cut out most of the things. Like, do less and you'll quickly work out what it is that you want from life. I feel like that's the bedrock of this ethos, is doing less, you actually figure out what's important to you and you cut out distractions. 99% of things around us are distractions from what we really want. So having that tunnel vision and knowing that you're going to get there in your own time is so, so important. So here's my honest opinion. I think that a soft life requires a ton of sacrifice first. There's a quote that I love that extraordinary public success requires extraordinary private sacrifice. I believe that a soft life will require a season of sacrifice first. You need to narrow down your focus, say no to distractions, and focus on building your dream life yourself. Because on the other side is autonomy. Now I have total time, location, and financial freedom, which is something that only younger me thought could come from someone else. My hot take is a lot of people buy into this trad wife rhetoric because they don't see it possible to make these things themselves, and I'm telling you it is. If this resonated with you and you're also looking to build financial independence, then subscribe below. I'll see you guys in the next one.